Okay, now another term that's used a lot, and again, I'll hear it tonight, is he's over his back. He's over his back. And they want you to call a rebounding foul. Well, being over someone's back doesn't mean that it's a foul. You have to make contact. Again, like we talked about, you need to make contact for there to be a foul. So in this first play, we're going to show Anthony, who's gathered a rebound here, has the ball, and Will is going to go over his back and gather the ball. No contact, no foul. Okay, on this second example, Anthony has the ball in a better position. He's boxed out. He's got the ball out in front of him. And now Will tries to get the ball, and knocks Anthony into the back. He has to go through him to get to the ball. That's why it's important as a rebounder to shield the defender from the ball. That way you make it easier for a referee to call a foul, because we can see that easily that he had to go through his back to get that ball. Whereas on the other play, Will made an athletic play, reached over, either knocked the ball out or grabbed the ball without making contact. We like to let those athletic plays go and not call fouls on them. While we're talking about rebounding and boxing out, I do want to address the act of boxing out. So the act of boxing out is shielding your opponent from getting the ball. It isn't displacing the opponent backwards. A lot of times we'll call a foul when there's displacement, and a coach or a player will say, he's just boxing out. Well, just because he's boxing out doesn't mean he can knock the guy backwards or knock him on the ground. So we're going to show a legal box out, and then we're going to show an example of displacement, which would be a foul, and an illegal box out. So Anthony's got a legal box out there. If Anthony actually took his hand and wrapped it around, we would call a foul on that, but he's just shielding there, okay? So that's legal. Now, we're going to show you an illegal box out. Whoa, okay? Displacement, that's a foul. And trust me, I'll hear it all the time. Ref, he's just boxing out. Doesn't give him the latitude to displace the defender. Another term I hear all the time when someone's trying to take a charge on defense is, ref, he wasn't set, okay? That's another common misconception. You don't have to be set to take a charge or to be in legal guarding position. So legal guarding position starts with 2 feet on the floor facing your opponent, okay? That's all you need. And then you can move laterally to maintain that, and that is legal. So if we're doing that and Anthony causes contact with Will as the dribbler, it would be a foul on Anthony. But if Anthony is sliding laterally and maintaining his legal guarding position, and Will initiates contact with Anthony, then that would be a foul on Will, and you can take a charge while you're moving. So first we're going to show you contact initiated by Anthony. That would be a blocking foul. All right, so Anthony slid, but he slid forward as he did that, so he created the contact. Now we're going to show Anthony playing good defense, and if Will would make contact with him or initiate contact with him, the foul would be on Will. All right, you see that? Will even threw the little elbow there out to create some space. Okay, so Anthony was moving. He moved to maintain his legal guarding position, and then Will did something illegal. So Anthony was not set, but he was able to play good defense and draw a charge. The one time you do need to be set on defense is on an airborne shooter. So if Will were to drive, and this will be tough to coordinate on a live play, but if Will were to leave the ground to shoot, Anthony couldn't then slide underneath him. Anthony would have to be set. He'd have to be in legal position prior to Will leaving the floor. If he's not, the responsibility for contact would be on Anthony. If he is in position before Will leaves the ground, Will could be called for a player control or a charge. All right, now we're going to talk about traveling. And the key to traveling or not traveling is the pivot foot. Okay, the pivot foot is the most important thing. As referees, we're trained to always pick up the pivot foot. That is the most important thing. So Will's going to show us first a legal start to a dribble, and then he's going to show us an illegal start to a dribble. And an illegal start to a dribble means that you have moved or stepped with your pivot foot before you release the ball for a dribble. So let's show the legal one first. So Will has the ball, let's pivot, he pivots, okay? So that right foot's his pivot foot. Now go ahead, he starts his dribble. There he goes. Starts his dribble, he's good. He kept his pivot foot down, and then he started his dribble. Now Will's gonna try to get a little fancy and put a little juke move on Anthony. Juke. Oh! Illegal start to a dribble. He moved his pivot foot, okay? Again, the pivot foot is the key. So if you move your pivot foot before you release that ball, it's going to be a travel. All right, now we're going to talk about the pivot foot again when it's legal to lift the pivot foot. So you can always lift your pivot foot if you've dribbled or not dribbled, doesn't matter. You can always lift your pivot foot when you're either shooting or passing the ball, okay? So Will's going to show us a move that is commonly misconstrued as a travel where he lifts his pivot foot but doesn't put it back down. As long as you don't put that pivot foot back down, it's not a travel. So he stops, he's got that pivot foot, he steps up, lifts the pivot foot to shoot, and lets the ball go before that pivot foot comes back down. That's a legal move. I see that called traveling even by some of the best referees out there to get fooled by that move because it looks funky. So the other instance when you can pick up your pivot foot is to pass the ball. So Will's going to show us. I know you've seen a player get hung up and you know, indecisive where they're going to pass it, or a defender flashes in front and they hesitate. As long as you don't put the pivot foot back down, it's a legal play and not a travel. Will's going to show us that. Pivot, pivot. He steps, he lifts his pivot foot, and he passes it. That's fine. If he had let that pivot foot come back down, then that would be a travel. Okay, now we're going to talk about angles. A lot of officiating is about angles. You could be the closest official to the play, but not have the best look. So we have primary areas of responsibility while we're on the court, and usually it's the 6x6 area that's in front of you, that's closest to you. But on this play, it's going to be my primary area, but I'm not going to have the primary angle on the play. So let's pretend you're the referee from this angle and see if you can see a foul here. Okay. We can assume there was a foul there, but did we see a foul? Let's do it again. So from our angle, it looks like Will may have gotten pushed. He definitely misses the rebound, but it did look like he could have just been jumping forward himself. Maybe the ball came off funny and went over his head. We don't know. So in officiating, if you don't know, this is an old saying, if you don't know, you don't blow. So I'm going to try not to guess on that play and hope that my partner, who's got a better angle on it, will make the call. So now we've changed our position. We were in what's called the lead position on the end line, and now we're over in the center position on the side. Okay, so now we're going to see if we have a better look at this play and if we can make this call a little easier. Right? So as the lead official, I'm going to depend on the center official here to see that push that created an advantage. He's got to come across and make that call. Now you're going to wonder sometimes on TV, why is that guy making that call from all the way out there? That's why he's making the call from all the way out there, because his partner can't see it, and he's trusting that in three-man, if he can't see it, there is someone that can on the court, and you got to trust that that person's going to make the right call. Okay, that concludes our video today. Thanks for joining us on PPR at Home. I'd like to again give a shout out to Will and Anthony, and I forgot to mention our cameraman, Brett Bessler. He does a great job on these videos. Not only is he the cameraman, but he's the director, producer, editor, everything that goes into making these great videos. Hopefully, this video has given you some insight in the difficult job of refereeing. And next time when you're watching a game, not only will you have a little more knowledge to know why calls are made or why they're not made, but you may hold your tongue just a little bit the next time you're at a game live. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you joining us.